So the biggest thing is that data is really what it's all about. My thing about it is that if you lose services for a while, if you're down for an hour or down for some period of time, okay, people will forgive you. They won't even remember it a year from now. But boy, if you ever lose their data and can't get it back, that's basic resume generating event. Protecting the data is really what it's all about, which really means backups. So, and people would tell you, a lot of people would say that there really isn't any such thing as backups. Restores are all that really, really matter. Do you know for a fact that you can take your backups and get your system back online? So that's a real big thing. One thing about backups is, excuse me, is that malware like ransomware, SQL inherently is kind of protected from some of that because the main database files are locked while it's up and running. So nobody can get in there and change those files. They can't encrypt it out from under you while it's running. But still, I think it's a matter of time until the ransomware people figure that out and go in by way of SQL, since they got the permissions anyway, and tell SQL to start messing with the data. So backups are still important. There's a difference between a native SQL and server level backups. Server level backups from all your backup exec or any of those type of tools do a nice job of getting a copy of the SQL server, including all of the database files. And those are useful, but I would say probably a huge percentage of DBAs will tell you still need your native SQL backups rather than just the tool from the server level. And in fact, there are some cases, or one case in particular I'll talk about here real shortly about that, where you really need the native SQL backup. There are really several different types. There's full backup and differential backups. Very often people do a full backup at once a week, and or if things are small enough, that most typically is probably just do full backups every night. But if you got a really big database, then maybe a full backup at on the weekend and differentials for each day to catch up to anything that's been changed since that full backup. And then you have something called log backups, transactional log backups that people ask, can I do incremental backups? Well, sort of, kind of, but log backups are a way of keeping track of what's changed since the last major full or diff backup. And then one other big thing about backups is the destination. Are you getting copy of the stuff off of the same disk where the database files actually live, or even bigger, especially for ransomware and such, are you getting copies off premises? So one thing I like to do is set up a SQL server that lets you back up directly into an Azure storage blob. You can set up an Azure account that has nothing but storage account in it, set up a connection with SQL that with just enough permissions to write into Azure to write there, but not to update or delete or anything. And you can tell it to do your backups there. And then Azure has a nice little feature in storage, blob storage accounts called, life cycle management, where you can tell it I want to keep my backups around for X number of days, or the ones that have this suffix I want to keep for X number of months, or whatever the cycles are. So you can set up something pretty nice there with backups that just automatically get dropped off site. They're not touchable by anything else, except if somebody has the full permissions off in Azure, which is a whole other place, a whole other set of credentials, and you can manage their retention and such. So that's one of my favorite ways to do backups for SQL databases.